What's going on, everybody? We are back. Episode number 234 of the Club and Sub podcast. This week we're chatting UFC Noche. I don't believe it's in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay. It's in Texas. The 3 p.m. start time, so not bad on that in that regard. Yeah, it's an okay card. I have a lot of action on it, so we'll see. I've been keeping it conservative lately, and it's been working for me. Opening it up a bit here, which is kind of scary, but yeah, I mean, I guess let's talk about last week real quick. I won 2.53 units for me. Man, I had 3 units on Trey Waters plus 160. If that had hit, it would have been, oh God, like serious red panty night. But you know what? I feel like I went into that, and my prior on Sam Patterson was he didn't have a lot of power, and now that's the second guy in a row who's reasonably durable, who he's knocked out. So probably have to update that. Good performance by Patterson. What's going on, Nabil? So I lost 3 units there. I originally had Oki, and I cashed out of it on fight morning. I couldn't get the Timmy Kawamba fight out of my head. Turns out that was a pretty good read. Actually, I should have bet Mason Jones, as it turns out. But anyway, I ended up pushing there because of that. I had 3.4 units on William Gomes minus 225. I'll be honest, I don't think there was much value on that. I did not expect the grappling to play out in the manner that it did. I felt like Gomes had pretty much all the grappling upside in the fight, but obviously that's what kept Ruchala in the fight, was wrestling, which really surprised me. So yeah, I mean, I think Gomes minus 230 range was probably fine, probably an accurate price. I had 2 units on Renat Fakhretdinov plus 100. I mean, it was easy. I don't want to put too much into, a 1 minute fight, but also it's like, we knew this was going to happen to Gustafsson eventually, right? The guy's got no footwork, no defense. The one time he tried to engage in the clinch, he just got the uppercut of the shit out of him. And if he can't do that, really doesn't have much. So yeah, that got home. Was happy about that. I had a unit on Robert Burchek plus 202. Like I said on the show last week, Brad Tavares is washed. Yep. It's never Brad Tavares.
Yep. You should have took a shot bet. I don't remember if I offered you a shot bet for that one, but I thought I did.
I think I owe you like 3 shots. I still have no liquor here at the moment, which is rare. I usually do 2 weeks in a row without any. I'm gonna have to go to the store and make up on it.
I was gonna say you might as well add another shot, John, after that Steelers whooping on your Jets.
Oof. Yeah, that was not fun.
Hey, thanks for the quarterback though.
Yeah, I was pretty encouraged, to be honest, from a Jets fan perspective. The offense looked really good against a pretty good defense. So yeah. But anyway, this isn't a football show. Congratulations on the Steelers beating my team. I know, Monday Night Football show here, but it's not a great Monday Night Football, so who cares? Yeah. And yeah, that was it. So it was good card for me. I think that's 10 out of 12 UFC events I've won. So it's been running well. Yeah. How did you do?
Not great. And it's funny, you talk about opening up for this card. I opened up on the last card, like last minute, honestly, on a couple of these spots, and that's really what killed me. I should have just kept it tight to Renat. Ended up playing Roofy as well for a small bet to win a unit, and then had Gomes, but had that parlayed up with the over 1.5 in the Tybura fight. Thought that was going to go a little longer. So that dead to rights too. So it lost 1.38 units on the night. So, well,
we go to Mexico. Well, we go to Texas, I guess. Not Mexico.
Texas, closest thing.
Yeah. Good Tex-Mex there, though, I'm sure. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll jump into it. First fight of the evening. This is the only fight on the slate I haven't taped, so I'll let you take this one away, Lax. I know you have an opinion. We got Rodrigo Cesanando. He's taking on Danil Donenko. Current price, Donenko minus 235. The comeback on Cesanando plus 200. What are your thoughts here?
I don't have a strong take on the dog here, but I just feel like this would be just a much closer line fight. I got a unit on the dog plus 200 in Cesanando. Like, I think just he can have definitely grappling upside here for sure. Like, that's his just strongest asset to his game. On the feet, his optics are just kind of really janky to me. Like, I mean, dude's kind of hittable, throwing a lot of spinning shit. I feel like on the feet, Donenko definitely has an edge there. Could maybe even put him out, but like, to me, the grappling edge is much bigger than the striking edge. So no brainer at plus 200.
Yeah. All right. I'll take a look at it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Brick Squad, he is plus 200. Yeah. Moving on. Second fight of the night. I actually have a bet here. It's Alice Pereira taking on Montserrat Rendone. To be fair, I bet it a bit north of this. I bet it at plus 164. The current price is Pereira minus 152. The comeback on Rendone plus 132. I feel like it's a pretty interesting fight. I honestly, when I saw the booking, I thought this was Alex Pereira's sister, and then I looked in and I was like, okay, it's probably a setup. Turns out it's not his sister or related to him at all. And I looked at her tape, and I'm like, I'm pretty flabbergasted this woman is getting a shot in the UFC this fast. Now, you could also make the argument that Montserrat Rendone belongs nowhere near the UFC, so that would be a reasonable argument to make.
Yeah, totally.
But, like, man, I'm watching Pereira's tape, and, like, she's fighting like lunch ladies. Like, she's not fighting like real fighters. She hasn't been in a real fight yet.
And it's all lunch ladies.
And even the tape that's there, I don't think she's looked. She's got like 4 knockouts, I think, but I don't think she's looked particularly impressive doing it. She's a lot of punches at air. She seems very, very non-committal. According to our boy Luke, friend of the pod, former co-host, he says she's a white belt apparently, which is like
WMMA whisper out there.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't know. I mean, look, she's 19. She's big. So obviously there's some upside there. There's a lot of unknowns there, and obviously Rendone is an older bantamweight. She's 35 years old, I believe. So, that's a macro you don't really love. But, I mean, Rendone's tough. She can grapple a bit. She's a decent wrestler. She's an okay top game. I mean, she fought Daria Zalesnikova to a pretty competitive decision that she lost, but like that's kind of what got me thinking and got me to a Rendone bet is like, if Pereira 6 fights into her career at 19, having fought nobody, comes into the UFC and is as good as Zalesnikova or at that level, I'd be really surprised. I just feel like that's projecting like the top like 5 to 10% outcome for, and I'm not saying she can't be way better than that long term, but for where she's got to be right now, I'd have a hard time saying she's better than that. If anything, I think she's probably considerably worse. And if she's considerably worse, well, I mean, then Rendone could be a favorite here, Again, very, very wide range of possible hindsight outcomes here, but like the grappler who's actually won a fight in the UFC and had a competitive fight with another decent fighter being an underdog to a 19-year-old who's a white belt who hasn't really been in a fight yet, if we're being honest, and whose tape doesn't really look particularly impressive. I'm in on Rendone, playing it small, but that's the side for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't hate it at the wider number like that, To me, like, watching the Vidal fight on rewatch, like, that's a tough one, too, because, like, yeah, she's able to get her down, but it's off of, like, caught kicks. Like, her wrestling didn't look great there in that spot. I guess she really didn't need to use it, but Zalesnikova fight, to your point, looked great. The wrestling there looked solid, and really that's what she needs to do here in this spot, because at range, I mean, Pereira is just much longer, taller.
Yeah. Faster.
To your point, though, not very committal, though. I don't think it's going to be like a huge volume disparity on the feet. She can probably compete, Rendone, that is. But, like, to me, she's just super slow. I mean, she's old.
Yeah. She sucks. I mean, she's not very good.
Yeah.
I was actually, I was looking because, like, the total was, like, 250, I think. And so the GTD is probably going to be, like, Paul saying athleticism gap seems wide. I agree with that.
Minus 220 GTD.
Yeah. So, like, what my biggest concern with the GTD is? It's not on the Pereira side, actually. It's that she is a real white belt, and Rendone gets on top of her and just cuts through her and finishes her on the mat. Like, we do see that happen from time to time. But I do feel like that GTD is almost entirely pricing Rendone having a bunch of totally meaningless KOs against nobodies. Like, I don't think she's going to. Yeah. She fought that 12-8 chick in her last fight, and that chick was a bum, too. And that was a very ho-hum, boring, low-volume fight. I don't think she's going to be some kind of killer finisher at this level, personally. Maybe that'll age horribly, but that's my kind of take.
No, I don't disagree with that.
Moving on, though, we got Alessandro Costa taking on Alden Coria. Current price, Costa minus 450. To come back on Coria plus 350. I'm a bit pissed I didn't take Costa when he was in the minus 300 range. This is a layup for him. Like, let's be honest. Like, this is about as easy a fight as he gets. Coria's got decent power, so like he could clip him and knock him out. But Costa seems tough to me. Good chin, good cardio, much better hardware in my opinion, much better grappler, much better striker. He's better everywhere this fight goes by a fair amount. I think Coria's probably drawing dead-ish to a knockout here. I have no issue with the price. I actually think it could be wider, to be honest. What do you think?
I guess the only rebuttal I'll give to that is I don't think Costa's got a great chin. To be fair, like, he can be hittable, and he's definitely there to be cracked.
He got knocked out by Albazi, which is not great.
Yeah, but to your point, though, I think this is a huge levels fight, really, for Costa. I mean, Should be a great spot for him. Better striker, better grappler.
Why is he getting this fight? He's a pretty good fighter. I don't know why he's getting,
Well, let me look real quick and see.
Like, was it a cancellation?
Chirez? Yeah, it's supposed to fight Chirez.
Okay.
Card. Yep.
That would make a lot more sense.
Yep. Fighting
All right, moving on. Throw it to you here, Lags. Our boy Clint's at it again with this fight here. We got Reese taking on Cedricus Dumas. The current price, Reese minus 233 to come back on Dumas, plus 198. Our good friend is riding with his boy Cedricus Dumas again. What do you think? Do you think he's onto something here?
Well, I got to start off with this, though, John. Going through all the tape for this card specifically, because nobody's made this comp, so I feel like I got to make it first. Tamiris Vidal, the female Cedricus Dumas. Is she not? Like, fights the same, looks the same. I mean, does the same, like, same mannerisms.
I saw that. He had like $10 in his checking account.
Listen, like, Dumas could have some grappling success. Like, it's possible, but I don't think he's good at all, really. Like, I think Reese is probably, in the aggregate, the better grappler. On the feet, Reese is the bigger hitter. I trust his durability a little bit more, though he's pretty hittable himself. I think Reese finishes Dumas, personally.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah. Who
do you think is better? Because I have a very definitive answer. Dusko Todorovich or Cedricus Dumas?
Dusko.
Yeah, I think so by a lot, personally. Yeah. I say it every time we break down an SD Dumas fight, but yeah, he's tall and long and black, but like he is a shitty athlete, man. He is not a good athlete. He doesn't have great heart in the cage. We've seen him quit in there like multiple times.
Like DeQuan Townsend.
What? You know? Yeah, but DeQuan Townsend actually had heart though. He just was terrible, you know. Like Dumas just goes out there and quits. I mean, Dumas. That's actually a perfect comparison though. Like this guy is not good. He's got 3 wins in the UFC off of like the absolute bum tier, and he has fallen on his face and he beat Cody Brundage because Cody Brundage just kept jumping guillotine and wouldn't get off his back. That's still in retrospect. I feel like Brundage, if he fights intelligently, beats him like with relative ease. Personally,
that's a big ask though.
Yeah. I think Dumas is awful. I think he does not belong in the UFC. I think Pepe just said in the chat, I think Reese is improving. I actually think Reese is pretty good. I was very low on Reese coming into the UFC. I bet Brundage against him in his debut. That, in retrospect, I think was pretty fucking meme, even in the moment. But honestly, I don't think that was a particularly good bet in retrospect. Reese is a bit hittable, but he's fast. He's very long himself, carries big power, very good kicks. He's a decent grappler. I actually rate the Dusko win a lot. I expected him to knock Dusko out there, which I think I would have rated less had he done that. But the fact that he kind of like gutted out, a 15-minute, back and forth war with a lot of grappling with, Dusko's not good, but he is good at what he's good at. You know what I mean? He's a good clincher. He's pretty good on top.
I will say though, the back end of that fight was pretty rough.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. But see, that's the thing. I don't think Dumas is going to push him there,
No, I don't think so either. I'm just saying, like, in the future for Reese, like, I don't, like, he's improving, don't get me wrong, but the cardio aspect's a huge part of his game that he really needs to fix, and clearly he hasn't, and I don't think he's going.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I don't mind him, though, as a fighter. I'm not laying the minus 220. If it got to, like, minus 185 and enough money came in on Dumas, I would take Reese. I do think he's the much better fighter. I'm assuming.
Total after this?
It's got to be under one. Well, I actually kind of like the over.
You would think 1.5, right?
It's definitely. I think it's under minus money.
Plus 140 the over 1.5. Yeah.
I actually almost prefer the over just because Dumas doesn't really engage. Like he's pretty risk off, honestly.
Yeah, but it could be one of those situations though if he just gets cracked, just folds like the cheap 10 kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right. I mean it's a volatile fight. I don't really want to get involved with it.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got Luis Gurule. He's taking on Jesus Aguilar. Current price, Gurule is. My eyes are deceiving me at the moment. Minus 205. The comeback on Aguilar, plus 175. I got reversed here a bit. I bet Gurule minus 207. I think it's a really good fight for him, personally. I was kind of anti-Gurule in his last fight against Osborne, but that's just because of Osborne's length and speed and power. And, he did eventually knock Gurule out, but I thought Gurule was fighting pretty well up until the knockout. And, I think Jesus throws with some power, but he's not as precise. He doesn't hit as hard as Osborne. And I actually think Gurule is pretty durable if you look at like the aggregate of his tape. And so I look at this fight and I think he's basically better everywhere. I don't think they're going to strike much because like one of the things I noticed is Aguilar just he refuses to strike. Even when he had Rafael Estevam like dead gas, like dead to rights, he just continued to try to take him down when he needed to, swarm him and finish him. The guy just likes to throw a couple huge wide overhands and then jump charge into a takedown. And, it's not the worst process. The problem for him is he's not a particularly good grappler. He seems to be, despite looking like very muscular, he seems to be pretty weak. Like he just gets tossed around by like almost everybody he tries to grapple. And conversely, on the other side, Gurule is a really good grappler. Comes from a college wrestling background. He's got decent jiu-jitsu. I feel like if they're on the feet, Aguilar could clip him, but I don't think it's high percentage. I don't think he carries like all that much power. And I think on the feet, Gurule is just a lot better than him too. And I think it's going to mostly be grappling, and I think Gurule is just going to out-grapple him badly, in my opinion. Aguilar is probably going to jump. I guess the biggest risk to a Gurule bet here is the Aguilar guillotine. He's got 7 finishes by it. Obviously, a decent guillotine, but like my boy Tim said this earlier today, but like the juries or like the book's kind of out on Aguilar jumping guillotine. I'm sure Gurule knows it's coming. I'm sure he's going to be ready for it. I doubt he's going to be engaging shooting himself much anyway. Like if Aguilar gets the guillotine, it's probably going to be if Gurule tries to like hip escape getting up. But I think Gurule minds his P's and Q's well. I think he's the much better grappler here. And I think ultimately how this fight's going to play out is Aguilar's going to try to grapple him and just get badly out grappled. Like that's kind of my base case here. Yeah. Nick Piccinini, in my opinion, would run through Aguilar like with no problem at all. Mm-hmm. And Gurule was counter grappling him pretty well. So yeah, I like Gurule here a fair amount. I think he should be in like the minus 270 range personally. How about you?
Did you see that light flicker real quick?
I did, yeah.
That wasn't fucking. I honestly thought the bulb was going to get out on me, but no.
Dude, that happens in my house, or my office all the time. I mean, my house is like, I think my house was built in like the 50s, so it's like I think that's probably why. But yeah,
never happens. But no, completely agree with you here, John. Though, in the sentiment that like Gurule, I think just completely out grapples Aguilar. Just needs to avoid the guillotine. Really, I mean, on the feet. To your point again, dude just needs to watch out for the overhand right. But
yeah,
I mean, Gurule does come in a little bit reckless.
And he gets hit. Like, he does get hit.
To me, I feel like that is a little bit more of a. I feel like it's more of a risk than maybe you're giving it credit for, but.
Well, I put like Aguilar finish at here, like a knockout. I just think the guillotine's very low percentage personally. I think it's probably like 7-8%. And I think knockout's probably in the 10% range. I think him winning a decision though is going to be like really, really hard in my opinion. Not impossible, but like it would be really tough because he's a much worse grappler than Gurule, and he's not as physically strong as him. And I think Gurule probably has better cardio too. So yeah, I mean that's a rough dynamic. Yeah. So we'll see though. Mm-hmm. Moving on, we have got Tatiana Suarez taking on Amanda Lamos. Tatiana Suarez going from fighting for a title on a pay-per-view co-main to the prelims. The current price. Suarez minus 425. Come back on Lamos plus 355. What do you think, Lags? Can Lamos pull off the upset here?
I don't. And to get a little narrative-y, I feel like just because Wiley is going up to fight Valentina, we are going to have maybe a vacant title here. Probably is a great spot to get Suarez back into the title picture here.
Yeah.
Off of a girl who really can't defend takedowns in Lemos. I think Suarez should have no issue getting Lemos down and finishing her. Quite frankly.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues with Suarez at this point in her career. Like I thought she looked physically frail and awful against Zhang. Like, look, Zhang's he's like one of the best women ever, but she did look like very, very physically. She has no explosion left in her at all. And so she's kind of one of those people that like I'm pretty wary about, being involved on the Tatiana Suarez side like ever again after that Zhang fight. But I agree with you. The wrestling gap here is just gigantic. She's going to get Lamos down. Maybe Lamos jumps a guillotine and catches her in it. I guess that could happen, but I think low percentage. If Lamos can keep it upright, she can win the fight. I just don't see how she's going to keep the fight upright, personally. I think Suarez will get her down fairly easily. I think she'll probably maul her. Probably go the distance, honestly. What's the total here, actually? I'm kind of curious.
This probably is a 2.5.
Yeah, 115. I actually kind of like that total a lot. Like Lemos survived underneath Zhang for like 3.5 rounds. I think she could survive here. So yeah, I like
that. I had the under in that fight,
which was brutal because she just took an absolute fucking ass whooping for that.
I think what I need to learn from John is just avoid women's unders.
They are
feel like it's just the worst.
No, I had under and Zhang by sub against Yan Janan, and that was
same. I had the under as well.
That was AIDS.
Yep.
So
So many darn main events. Yep.
Moving on, we have got Claudio Ples taking on Joaquim Silva. Current price, Puelas minus 120. Comeback on Silva plus 100. I bet Puelas here as a dog for a unit and a half. I might add another unit on him. I haven't decided yet. I think Silva's been washed for quite a while. He's 36. He doesn't fight that often. His chin seemed like it was going, a while back. 2 fights ago, the guy went life and death with Clay Guida. Drakkar Klose, who's pretty washed, was kind of giving him the business in his last fight until round 3 when he knocked him down. Silva still got big power, but he's low volume. He lets his opponents pace him. I don't think he's the best defensive wrestler. I'm just not a fan of his. And he's 36 years old and clearly declining. And Puelas, on the other hand, look, a lot of issues with Claudio Puelas in his past.
Yeah.
He can be low volume. He has seemed flaky at times. But I was really, really impressed with him in his last fight against Fares Ziam. I laid the chalk on Ziam in that fight, and Ziam's a pretty good defensive wrestler, and Puelas out-grappled him pretty bad for large stretches of that fight. He got 7 takedowns there. He's only 29 years old. He's at Killcliff FC now, training full-time, and I think it's a great move for him. Very, very good striking gym. He's posted Instagrams, training with Rafael Fiziev. Just a lot of bullish things on his side. He's the much more dangerous finisher of the two, in my opinion. I feel like Puelas sub carries a large chunk of the finishing equity in this fight. I actually think he could potentially compete striking here. I mean, given he's 29 and should be making improvements. And yeah, at the end of the day, he's entering his prime. Silva's on the way out of the UFC, in my opinion, and I'm going to take the much more dangerous fighter, who I think is the much better grappler at near pick'em. What do you think, Legs?
I'm going to be honest, John. I don't know how much of improvements I would need to see from Puelas to ever get on his side. He's just one of those guys that never liked the guy, never liked his style.
Me neither.
Super gassy, striking's pretty low volume, mostly kicks. Wrestling's not great, but on the flip side, to your point, again with Silva, guy looks pretty washed, chinny, getting up there in age, doesn't fight a ton. It's an easy stay-away fight for me, and I understand backing the Puelas side from an upside perspective, but
so I would say to that though, so that was actually going into tape. One of the things I was nervous about with potentially betting Puelas was the gas, but dude, his gas looked pretty good against Ziam in a very grappling heavy fight, and that fight was at altitude in Mexico City. I feel like he might have improved that. And have you seen pictures of him, dude? He looks like he's on fucking steroids. The dude looks freaking huge.
Probably is.
He looks gigantic. So give me Puelas. I never thought I'd say that again. I bet him against Leave It back in the day, but I never thought I'd say that again. But give me Claudio Puelas.
God help you, John.
Moving on, what a mess this is. We got Jose Daniel Medina taking on Dusko Todorovich. Todorovich minus 300. The comeback on Medina plus 250. What do you think, Legs?
I know a lot of people might think this is a bit wide, I guess, but to me, I think Medina's got no hips. Going through tape here, I feel like Dusko should be able to get takedowns here pretty free. And honestly, as long as he I wouldn't even say mind his P's and Q's. Honestly, if he just sticks to a game plan of actually wrestling Jose Medina and not standing and striking with him, because if he stands and strikes, it's probably pretty close.
I think Dusko's going to win pretty easily, honestly. Yeah. To the point that I was talking with someone earlier today about whether or not we should be. They brought up whether or not we should be betting Dusko, and I decided to look at it and bro, Medina.
Oh, he should.
He's the fucking worst, man. He is so. Medina and Cedric Dumas are a race to the bottom for the worst fighter on this card. I think Dusko. Yeah, to your point, he should do that. He should be able to clinch him up pretty easily. Should be able to grapple him. He's got better cardio. He's the more dangerous finisher of the two. I think this is. Unless Dusko loses his mind and just decides to swing in the pocket with him, this should be a pretty straightforward fight for him. Mm-hmm. I think minus 300 should be wider than it is. I might even bet it. God, it would be AIDS to lose a bet on Dusko at minus 300, but he should not lose this fight. He really should not. Moving on, we got Santiago Luna making his debut, coming out of Entrum in Mexico. He's taking on Quengle. Very closely lined fight. A lot of opinions in the space on this one this week. I have a feeling this is going to be the Civil War of the week. We got Luna minus 125, comeback on lay plus 105. I think it's an interesting fight. I don't really know what to take from Luna's tape. He looks good. He looks like a good athlete, decent grappler, decent hands. But I mean, he's fighting like the absolute worst of the worst, like 1-1, 2-0 guys. He hasn't fought like a real fighter yet. So, what do I take from that? I'm not really sure. Quang Lei, conversely, I don't think he's particularly great. Working like, he gave Brick Squad saying he thinks Luna trains with Ruka now. I'm not sure. I hadn't heard that. He gave, Chris Gutierrez at least a reasonably competitive fight. Beat Bolanos in his last fight via submission. Fought Long Zhao pretty competitively. Again, these are not. I mean, Gutierrez is good, but the other two were not great. But he belongs at least. He's shown that he belongs. We know he's in the UFC level. He's a pretty good grappler. He's got okay striking, but he's very low volume. My instinct is to lean with the 22-year-old in Luna, who's been training with good fighters and should be making rapid improvements over a guy in Lei who I think is like fringe UFC. But at the same time, it would be a pretty hard click for me against a guy like with Lei's experience, with the guys he's fought, debuting here on Noche UFC. I can't click the Luna side. It would be layer pass for me. What do you think?
Honestly, I was going to click the Luna side of plus 120. Like, I'm so tempted. But then to your point of just like the lack of experience, now he's making UFC debut. It's like
main card too.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
It does make you think the UFC is putting in there for a reason, though. I will say that. I don't do that much, but like,
right, I get it. But I guess still going with Luna here. It's tough watching his tape and just not seeing like a front running guy, young kid, pretty green. Like if fights get extended, he's gonna have issues. I mean, you see his cardio's not that great, his striking optics not that great. But on the Quang Lee side, it's like you could kind of say the same thing. Like, he's got some power. Striking optics not great either.
Yeah, I think Luna's more aggressive. I think Luna's more aggressive too, which should help him. He throws with more intent than Lei does. Yeah. I look. It's really hard to want to bet someone like lately against the 30 or against the 22-year-old who's at a good gym, who's clearly athletic and making improvements. And I mean, that's enough for me to stay off it. Moving on. Making a quick turnaround here after cashing us some nice money. We got Alexander Hernandez taking on Carlos Diego Fajeda. Yeah, interesting fight. Current price, Alexander Hernandez is minus 125. The comeback on CDF plus 105. What do you think, your likes?
It is an interesting one. I guess for starters, I don't know if I'd be rushing to the window to back our boy again, Alex Hernandez, but like I could definitely see him sparking CDF early. It's going to be much faster. I would say he has the power edge early too. I feel like in the fight in general, I think CDF has solid power, solid boxing himself, so probably does counteract itself. I feel like early Hernandez definitely has a huge edge. In terms of the grappling, though, I don't think CDF is going to have a ton of success wrestling Hernandez early either. So to me, I feel like I'd give a slight lean to Hernandez in general in the fight. Finishing upside, youth.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty close. You know what I mean? Like I don't see CDF not winning in a pretty close fight.
Prime CDF or even mid late 30s CDF, this is a pretty good fight for him, just given the cardio and output dynamic, right? Mm-hmm. But like if we were betting CDF at 37, I would be like, yeah, Hernandez is gonna have a good first round. He's gonna get overwhelmed and either break and get finished or just lose a decision. And that could still happen for sure. I mean, CDF, cardio monster, throws a ton of volume. Obviously he's Hernandez isn't going to be able to bail himself out with wrestling here. He's not going to hold CDF down if he takes him down. If anything, it'll probably end up with himself in a pretty precarious position. But he is 40 years old at 155 pounds, very athletic weight class. I know he looked good against Rebecca a year ago. I bet him in that fight. Didn't look so good against Grant Dawson. Again, it's Grant Dawson. Don't want to penalize him too much for that. But at this point, we know it's only a matter of time until the wheels fall off. And it's rare to see a guy at 40 years old competing at 155 pounds in general at a high level. So it's like kind of scary. And Hernandez, he should be able to keep it upright. I agree with you. He's got faster hands at this point. He's the more explosive hitter of the two. He's got pretty good footwork. Yeah, I think just based on the fact that CDF is 40 and could potentially like his floor is that's the thing, right? He shot and is basically drawing close to dead, in this fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
At plus 105, that doesn't really intrigue me. If anything, I'm with you. I think bare minimum based on Hernandez's speed and power and the age difference between them, bare minimum, I feel like Hernandez should be minus 125 to minus 150. Like maybe he could be a lot. I think he's got more upside here at the price, a lot more, in my opinion, than CDF has. So,
and even to that point too, I feel like his floor isn't even that low. Like what?
No, he could win a fight. Even if you get a prime-ish version of CDF, Hernandez could win that fight. It's not great for him, but
Right.
he can knock him out. He could hurt him a couple times, you know. Yeah. Yep. I'm 100% with you. I'm not really. I don't really want to. Like, we just bet Hernandez at plus 300 last fight. I don't need to bet him on the market correction.
Too, you know.
Yeah, very quick turnaround. I don't need to dabble with him here, but I do think he's a deserved favorite, in my opinion. So
agreed. Passing,
but I think the line's fine. Moving on. Good fight here. Kelvin Gastelum taking on Dustin Stoultz. Current price. Gastelum minus 250. Coming back on Stoultz plus 210. I really wanted to get to a Stoultz bet pre-tape, but I can't do it. The difference, Gastelum's got a cardio edge. He's got a big durability edge. He's got a big power edge. He's got a big speed edge. I do think Stoultz can get takedowns here. But, like, Stoultz isn't Sean Brady, man. Stoultz is not. I'd be really surprised if Stoultz is, like, controlling him easily on the mat. That would shock me. Like, this guy got up against Prime Weidman, like, 7 times. I really, really don't think Dustin Stoultz is going to be, you know, dominating the grappling here. He may, and if he does decide to go that route, he's going to get tired if he doesn't finish it, you know, like, badly tired.
Yeah, his cardio is awful.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like Stoultz is drawing either to, like, some kind of a sub early or, like, a really, really tight decision, whereas I could see Gastelum finishing him early. I could see him finishing him late. I could see him just beating the brakes off him for 3 rounds. I could see Gastelum out wrestling him. You remember when Gastelum fought Heinisch, yeah, and went into it?
Yep.
I honestly think I'm not tempted at minus 250.
No, it's similar. I feel like it's similar. That it's similar in aspects to that fight. Like, I feel like Stoultz is, like, at that level.
Yeah, I mean, Dad's saying it's Kelvin a bum off. So Kelvin almost beat Joe Pyfer last fight. You know, like I think Kelvin's Kelvin. You know, he is what he is, meat and potatoes fighter. But I'm not going to bet him at minus 250. But I actually do think the line could be a little bit wider. Personally, I think he's got this fight. I think it's a pretty easy fight for him. What do you think, Lex?
No, I completely agree. I mean, Stoultz's cardio is awful when he tries to wrestle heavy. You saw it against Ruziboev. You've seen it against GM3. I mean, it's not great.
And the hand speed difference on the feet is huge. You know?
Yeah, the striking difference is huge. Durability edge is huge. Cardio edge is huge. Like, to me, Gastelum's really going to have to fumble this bag to lose.
I agree. Moving on. I got another bet here. We got Jared Gordon taking on Rafa Garcia. He's Mexican.
Yeah, he's not Rafa. Come on, geez.
Not a Rafa. He's a Rafa. Current price, Gordon minus 220. They come back on Garcia plus 185. I think it is right now. You know, some of us were betting big dollars on Jared Gordon before it was popular to bet on Jared Gordon. That's all I'm going to say. I wrote most of his run in the UFC. I love Jared Gordon, perpetually underrated.
Last fight too.
Yeah, perpetually underrated by the market. But now he's 37, and I mean, he was old last fight. He's been old for some time, but like, he's now going from being a guy who's going to be consistently priced in like the small favorite to an underdog range to being north of minus 200. Which, look, there are guys he could be minus 200 against, right? Like Mark Madsen when we bet him there. But by the way, he didn't look great in that fight until he knocked him out.
No, Jones wasn't minus 200 there either.
No, we got what do we get? Like minus 150 or something like that. We got a really good price on him in that fight. But that's my point, right?
Right.
Like the market treated Gordon like a guy who
huge there too.
Yeah, the gigantic. But like, yeah, he's got some edges in this fight. He is probably the better submission grappler of the two. He is the better striker, much better work rate, you know, just much more reliable work rate than what Rafa has. But, you know, I know he's got 2 KOs in his last couple of fights, but Jared Gordon is not a power threat. Yeah, but he is not a power threat. Like, let's be honest, though. Like, he's not. Gordon's chinny and has no power. And I was always like, oh, no, he's not really chinny, but he doesn't have any power. Now he got the knockout over Thiago Moises, who's just washed. And suddenly Jared Gordon is minus 230 against, you know, a decent fighter. You know, Rafa Garcia, he's not great. He doesn't have much power himself, but he's a pretty good wrestler. He's got a decent enough work rate on his own. And the thing, I know a lot of people are pissed at Rafa, or thought Rafa looked awful against Pichel, but I think Pichel's a much trickier striker in a lot of respects than Gordon is. Like, if you don't have good footwork, Pichel's kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. He's constantly moving, constantly kicking. He's not engaging in the pocket. That isn't really Gordon's style. Like, Gordon's going to come forward and box with you. He's going to try to tie you up in the clinch, throw hands. But Gordon's not going to be like jabbing him and out footworking him. It's just not Jared Gordon's game. And that's the kind of fight Rafa can win. If they're getting into a boxing match or a clinch fight, that's going to be pretty good. But I do think Rafa's more durable than he is. Like, I don't think Gordon's chinny, but I think, Rafa has a steel chin. And we have seen Gordon finish 3 or 4 times before, right? So I do think Rafa is the much more durable of the two. I think Rafa could get takedowns here. We've seen Gordon give 4 takedowns to Joe Selecki. Rafa is a better wrestler than Selecki is, in my opinion, or at least can measure it at worst. I think there's going to be some kick. Selecki's not much of a wrestler, man. He's
that's fair. No, I'd say
yeah. I feel like you're looking at a pretty close fight. I trust Gordon's output more. I do think he deserves to be a favorite, but I think Rafa can get takedowns. I think Rafa could potentially hurt him in his fight. I think it's going to be close. And Gordon's 37 and Rafa's 30. It's a pretty. It's like, at this point, it's like, we've made money on Jared Gordon. This is like where you short the stock.
Yeah.
This is where you get off the train. Yeah. I'm getting off the train here. I have a unit and a half on Rafa Garcia. I love Jared Gordon. If he wins, I'll be upset for my money, but I wouldn't hate to see him win. But I cannot support Jared Gordon being in the 70% implied range here. What do you think?
And that's actually to your point there at the end there. Why I honestly was hoping for a better by decision line for Jared Gordon, but it's minus 125. Really have no interest. But I do feel like his work rate, to your point, is just going to end up winning out here. He's going to have better cardio, probably likely to.
Do you think he's going to have better cardio?
I think so. I think he's got better cardio. I think he's got better work rate. I think he can keep it standing.
Rafa makes fights messy, man. I'm telling you. And Jared got pretty tired against Selecki when it got messy.
Well, that's the thing. It's going to be a messy fight, so I have no interest in getting involved at juice, Jared by decision. But if it was plus 125, plus 130, yeah.
Couldn't you see something similar to the not in the style they fight, but something similar though, where he just lands a couple really hard thudding shots on Gordon and lands a couple takedowns and just wins kind of a ho hum decision where he gets outlanded anyway? Could
happen, but I mean, Gordon's much better than Pichel at this stage.
Oh yeah. I no doubt about that.
And I guess my thing is look at Garcia's wins. It's there's no substance there, really, man.
No, I mean, he looked good against Mahashate. I mean, Mahashate sucks, but he did look good against him.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It is weird, Garcia. It's funny because Garcia has had 9 UFC fights, and his hardest fight, well, Dawson was his hardest fight, but after Dawson, he debuted against Nasrat and actually gave Nasrat a pretty good fight, but not much since then. And Dogfather just said in the chat, Rafa, that was a winnable fight, and I would say close is close, no pun intended, to where Gordon is as a fighter,
Yeah,
in my opinion. But we'll see. I like it for Rafa though. I shouldn't say again, he's not a lock to win, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Moving on, we got Rob Font taking on David Martinez. Current price, Rob Font is a small favorite here. He is minus 140. The comeback on Martinez is plus 120. What do you think, Lex?
Honestly, this is one I just need to go in a little bit more tape in, but I feel like this is a great spot for Rob Font. I feel like this is a colossal step up in competition for Martinez, going from Simon Oliveira to Rob Font in the co-main event on a main card here. Rob's a much better striker here. I feel like higher volume upside to me if Rob doesn't get cracked. I mean, Martinez can have big moments to a decision too, but I feel like probably is drawing a little bit dead to that KO. So I lean Rob being a favorite, similar to the Hernandez fight.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it because Rob, I've kind of sold all my Rob Font stocks after the
fine. He's getting old,
fight. I'll say this: I've gone back and forth on the fight a lot because there's aspects of it I really don't like. He's obviously chinny at this point. He's obviously older. Right. Martinez, decent power. I was a bit worried about the calf kicks, but then rewatching Font against Matsumoto, he actually dealt with the kicks just fine. He wasn't really, they didn't really, didn't seem to impact him all that much. And so I kind of think he can probably deal with Martinez's kicks all right. I do think it's possible Martinez can just out footwork him, but like how many guys have really out footworked Rob Font in his career? You know, it's not something that really happens to him. So I don't know, man, because like I do think Font's got much, much, much better boxing. And I think if they're in the pocket, I do think Rob can get hurt in the pocket, but I do think he's going to out jab him in there. And I think he's going to land the bigger shots in there. I don't really see a ton of upside for Martinez grappling him here. I think if anybody had grappling success, it would probably be Font. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't really want to get involved with Rob at this point, especially because like he was just plus 170 to Matsumoto, and now it's like he's fighting kind of a similar task here in some respects, and he's minus 140. I don't know.
Plus is a switch of opponent too, if I wasn't mistaken.
Yeah, you're right about that. Martinez is supposed to fight someone else too.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, I would take, if Font got to like the minus 115, 120 range, I'd think about a poke on him just because you are right. It is a titanic step up in competition here. Like
right,
Martinez,
to pick him.
Yeah, like Simone Oliveira is a joke. And on top of that, Rob is so much bigger than him. You know, Martinez is 5'5", Rob's 5'8". I think he's got
a huge reach.
Yeah, we're about to say what's Martinez's reach. 67 inches. Yeah, and Rob's like 71. I mean, it's a lot of size, and it is a giant step up in skill. Yeah, you know, it really should be Rob. I just feel like I'm starting to feel with Rob like I did with Brad. And Rob's a little bit more dangerous than Brad Tavares for his division, but I am starting to feel that way. That's you know, fair. Where it's like Rob, he's not really a bag fumbler, I guess, but the guy has lost a lot of fights on the back of his bad durability these days that he should have won, you know? So, Yeah. Anyway, move on. Bomb main event here. Diego Lopes taking on Jean Silva. Lopes coming off a loss for the featherweight title. Silva probably gets sent to a title shot if he wins this fight, I'd imagine. You know, current price, Silva, big favorite here. He's minus 260 to come back on Lopes, plus 220. What do you think, Legs?
I think it might come to maybe a bit of a shock. Yeah, I mean, but I like the Silva side, and I think where the line's at is fine. Maybe it has some value where it's at now, personally. Like, I feel like he has a big durability edge on the feet. I feel like at points on the feet, it's going to be close. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Lopez definitely can have his moments, but I feel like Jean Silva is just a better, more impactful striker on the feet. In terms of the grappling, I don't see Lopez having a ton of success in the wrestling. And I think Jean probably has better cardio. It's probably commensurate. Maybe if you want to give.
What'd you say?
The cardio.
You're frozen. I think we lost Lags.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll take it away. I think it's an interesting fight. I don't know if I want to bet Lopes. I don't really want to bet Lopes, to be honest, just because I tried fading Silva twice already, and it just went horribly, and he does seem to be built a bit different. The guy's obviously very skilled, very dynamic striker, very big hitter, very fast. His defensive grappling looked okay in his last fight against Bryce Mitchell. I will say I still have some pretty big concerns about Silva's defensive grappling. It looked okay against Mitchell, but he was defending everything with a guillotine there, and you know, he did eventually submit Mitchell with that, and he almost submitted him in the first round with that. However, I don't think that's really a coherent way to defend takedowns. And what I cannot get out of my head is Charles Jourdain taking this guy down 3 times. Like Charles Jourdain is one of the absolute worst wrestlers in the division. And I really just can't get over him taking him down, man. You all right there, Legs?
Yeah.
I hear something like being knocked around.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Maybe
I just can't get over that. That really scares the shit out of me. That Jourdain took him out a few times. Now maybe he's totally cured that in 2 fights. It's possible. I don't know. It bugs me. The other thing is, even though I think Silva is the better fighter here, let's be honest, Lopes is fucking dangerous. You know, he's got knockout. He's got knockout power on the feet. He's very deadly on the mat.
Yep.
It's really hard to be north of 70% against someone who can finish fights as quickly as Lopes can. Like that kind of lethality is just really rare. It's something I underestimated with Lopes in his entire career so far. So I don't know. I understand liking Silva because I do think in the aggregate he's the much better fighter, but I feel like Lopes has tools to win this fight. And am I going to bet him? I don't think so. Like I was thinking about it if it got up to like 280, 290. I was thinking I was going to do it, but it looks like money's come in on the other side. But yeah, I don't know. I feel it's a really good main event. I think Silva's probably going to win by KO more often than not. I don't know, man. There a lot's going to happen here. Kevin Vallejo's won a round against Gene Silva. Don't forget that.
Listen, I didn't forget that. But and listen, I feel like we pinged Lopes pretty early, like pretty good early in his career. Not to like call this guy like a mean finisher, but like the guy's a finisher. He's not a minute winner. So if you're giving me now 25 minutes versus a guy who has much more volume, much more durable.
Yeah. You know, I really do think Sabatini beats Lopes more often than not. I still do, honestly.
That was tough, man.
Like if he gets one takedown, that whole fight probably snowballs horribly on Lopes. Like I'm convinced
he's
that.
Because he's a hugely confidence-based fighter. Lopes goes in there looking to swing hammers,
and he would not be subbing Sabatini from guard. Like I'm almost positive. Like it's. But whatever. Anyway, it's a banger main event. I'm really excited for it. You know, it's a really, really fun main event. I am going to be at a dinner, so hopefully I'll be back in time to see the fireworks go off. But we'll see. But anyway, guys, that'll do it. Drop a like, subscribe, and we'll be back next week. Take it easy. Good luck on your bets. Peace.